right, what we're going to do is we're going to take the next few minutes and give you an orientation to 4 artificial intelligence newsletters that are being generated by our software. So in column 1, you see urology advice. In 2, you see educational options. 3, tactical gear. 4, electroceutical. The newsletters that are coming up from below are on that topic, and they will have multiple posts that is scraped from the internet, and we can set it up to look for current stuff, future stuff, or really far out in the future stuff. So we create a header and with a graphic, and it may include a picture, like in column 1, of the owner of the practice or the business. In column 2, you see some formula on a blackboard, and then you see a title: the future of school choice, school vouchers, fixed failing education. That's the main theme of the newsletter, but underneath that, then you will have a paragraph that has an entire summary of the post coming up in the rest of the newsletter. So if you take a look at the very first post in that education option, you see a category called educational choices. Over in column 3, you're seeing the explanation of the newsletter, but you can click on learn more, and that will go like to a website that would be selling tactical gear. In column 4, you're seeing scientists create a blood test that can detect up to 50 genetic diseases. So we're talking about electroceuticals and pharmaceuticals and tests. But below that, what we have is what we call a card that has the Learn More button. So here's a full description of what the newsletter is about. And now what we're doing is we're encouraging them to learn more by going to external information, a website, a membership system, or whatever. So let's go all the way back to column 1, urology advice. We see that men typically avoid doctors no matter how odd or wrong their symptoms are. Okay, are you getting up at night, flow slowing down to a trickle? So we're putting some pain points in so that they're going, yeah, I really should follow this newsletter because something's going on. And that's why the subscribe button is there. And it can be a subscribe button, or as you see in column 2, a learn more button. Now in column 3, you'll see that it actually has the website that the information was scraped from, and if you click on it, it goes to the whole article. But it also allows you to tweet it to Twitter, and we're adding LinkedIn next to that. So if you want to go for a LinkedIn post, it will connect it directly. So when we take a look and we stay in that tactical gear column number 3, we can see that here is a problem where there was a shooting at a school. So this newsletter is concerned with selling tactical gear like bulletproof backpacks. So we train the AI to pull information that has specific orientation to the subject at hand. So when this is found, and because it's all very current, it's almost all breaking news. And that's important because you don't want this information to be stale. So like if we go back to column 2, educational options, here's a post that is in the purple category there, teachers unions, because not everybody's loving teachers unions these days. So here's the story. Time's running out to avoid Twin Cities and teachers strike. We grab the proper graphic, and if we don't like that graphic, we can rotate it, and if it's a little weak, the AI will find a better graphic that it understands from the description of the article, and we can choose from 5 or 10 different images so we can get the biggest, brightest, most eye-catching graphic each time. So let's go over to column 4, drug allergies, what to look out for. So we pulled up a graphic with a handful of pills, and we're talking about, geez, if the medications are one of the powerful weapons, but sometimes people can take medications, have allergic reactions. Okay, so whatever the topic is, the AI knows and constantly gets smarter because we review every newsletter in a relatively quick process, and we train the newsletter to let it know that the article it found was appropriate, inappropriate, banning certain sites if it starts pulling up the wrong information. It already has an understanding to keep away from porn and unsavory kind of articles. And as we train it more, it knows to avoid those sites that we tell it to stay away from. But it also can be trained to look for sites that are really good sites that often have some very good information. When we tell it to look at a site, let's say WebMD or something, then given the 15 or 20 things we're asking it to research from the internet, if WebMD happens to have something new, it'll grab it from there. So we see down column 2, Senate backs bill to curb governors' schools admission forms in its school boards, and so now it's talking about a little infighting between Democrats and the Republicans because people find that stuff interesting. So, and there's always some kind of a cat fight going on. So for people that are interested on either side of any kind of a topic, it finds articles that bring up timely information. So here we know that Ukraine is going on right now, and so McPaw, which is a company, Macintosh, Apple kind of company in the Ukraine, they're working in their bathtubs as Russian bombs fall. And so you can click on the Cult of Mac and go directly to that article, and you can click on read the news, and you'll get more stories like that. So column 4, you see that we're pulling it in from the Yahoo in the United Kingdom, but we can regionalize it. If we only wanted information that was from Chicago or Miami or Denver, we can tell the AI, don't look all over the whole world for your information, keep it really local. So you might want to do the weather reports. For instance, if you were doing your local city, or let's say it's Denver, you might want the ski reports. So we can blend in by telling it you get your ski reports from this website and you get your weather report from that website specifically for the city. That's how it works. So now that you got the basic orientation, let's talk about cross pollination, which is the most powerful part of what we're doing. Being able to take 100 or 200 of these newsletters and cross-pollinate from something, maybe somebody's a car enthusiast, normally wants to look at Mustangs or, classic cars. But person might have diabetes or might have a urology problem or might be getting drug interactions or might need a bulletproof backpack for their child. What we can do is we can cross-pollinate from one newsletter to the other, and what happens is a giant matrix starts to happen, and we keep track of what people are clicking on. So that way we know what we could cross-pollinate with because they found something more interesting than something else. So when they are in one of these posts and they click it to go read more, we're keeping track of what they like. Now we can make a decision. Do they want to know more about diabetes or heart disease or electroceuticals or backpacks or school charter issues? So what's so powerful about this is because when somebody is able to forward a newsletter to a friend because they know they have diabetes, they can take the email that they got or the text they got and just forward it to them. Now they, the receiver of the newsletter, are able to subscribe. So rather than paying for a ton of advertising, what we're doing is we're letting a peer-to-peer system work so that the person that is a subscriber is sending it to somebody who isn't. We're also educating that person because we all know that when you have somebody that is a friend and they have learned something, a lot of people like to let others know what they learned, but maybe they can't explain it so well. So they just forward the email with a quick little note. Hey, take a look at the third post. It's something that we've talked about. So in a way, every newsletter is a viral opportunity for one person to tell another person, a friend or a relative, a co-worker, about the topic that they know that they're going to be interested in. When that person gets it, now they read the newsletter, they subscribe or they don't subscribe, they may immediately just forward it to somebody they know. So rather than paying a lot of advertising dollars, now what we're doing is we're building a cross-pollinating matrix that is getting smarter as the days go on. When somebody is getting that newsletter and it sends it off to somebody else, and that somebody else is clicking, the AI is able to know that that was a good decision, a very good decision. If they sent it and the other person didn't click on it, it would rank it a little bit lower, like, oh, okay, so maybe they weren't that interested about it. But if somebody receives something and they open it up and they click on something, now the AI is going, wow, that was right on the mark, and it reinforces the history of the first person and logs the history of the second person so that more specific information can get to the second person, which is very powerful. And as time goes on, if it's within a profession like urology, maybe somebody's got low T, or they've got a prostate issue, or they are considering a vasectomy or a vasectomy reversal, those would all be standard topics that would be in that newsletter. But it included in that newsletter might be one post that has to do with diabetes. So that's how the cross-pollination happens. Or it might have one post that has something to do with heart disease. So now what's happening, and if it was a reverse, if it was somebody that was getting the heart disease newsletter and there was a post in there that said, are you getting up 3 times a night to go to the bathroom? Now what's happening is like, hey, I've got heart disease, but what's this story about getting up 3 times a night? So the cross-pollination across hundreds of newsletters like this is going to be one of the most powerful things that in the information and education opportunities for the public that it would ever be possible. So the newsletters are able to be customized. If you want it to show up with local information or cross-pollinate to different topics, if you want to have your own practice, you want to have a card, we call them a card, that has a video of the people at your reception desk. All of these things are very easily customizable by our team. And now the newsletter is going out and it's just got a wealth of information. It's always keeping you top of mind aware in the recipient's mind. It will affect your referrals. It will affect your retention and reactivate patients or customers. And of course, because it's shareable and we encourage the sharing, it's magical because the people that are receiving the newsletter are responsible for making the newsletter bigger. It's a beautiful thing. We're so happy that this is going to be one of the most efficient ways of getting the word out and keeping in the top of mind awareness of the recipients of the newsletters. Very hard to do when you're expecting somebody to find you. This is all push technology, so once they subscribe, boom, it lands in their inbox or by text to them, and it is just awesome. There's a lot more, but this is the initial orientation, so enjoy.